Why, hello everybody, Spencer here, also known as Lego Dude 11, and in today's video, this is my review for Scott Pilgrim Takes Off, the official Netflix series, spoiler review. So without further ado, let's discuss. Okay, so kicking things off here, I got it pulled up on screen back here, and I actually don't have any notes on this review. I kind of want to make this a words these days. I kind of want to make this like just a right out of the gate review for you because I've been antsy for this review. It's not really the right what I wanted to say. It's more or less I've been excited and I binged this all in one day. I was looking forward to this. This was not my plan. So basically, what I wanted to do with this was, I mean, as I do for all my reviews, is I take down notes and then just do it. And I know this is very strange how I'm saying this, but I have on my computer, I just pulled it up on Netflix here. I watched it all on my computer because Netflix was being a dork and not working on my TV. That's besides the point, that's irrelevant, I digress. But I binged it all today. I watched it on 1.25 speed to get through it a little bit quicker because it was fine. It's a Netflix animated series. Anime. It's a Scott Pilgrim anime series. It's called Scott Pilgrim Takes Off. And this is an adaptation from the Scott Pilgrim movie back in 2013? 2011, I believe it was. I want to say 2011. I might have had 2013. It's been a decade since the movie's been out. But I adore the movie. Done by Edgar Wright. Edgar Wright's doing this series. I think he's like a producer, executive producer, if I'm not mistaken. And the voice cast returns for this series. Michael Cera, Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Let me check out more. Jason Schwartzman, Kieran Culkin, Chris Evans, Brie Larson, Allison Pale, Aubrey Plaza, Brandon Routh, like I said, Jason Schwartzman, Johnny Simmons, Mark Webber, a million people, Ellen Wong, and the entire cast. Right, the entire cast is back. And there's another actor in here, Finn Wolfhard, who does teen. It said teen Scott Pilgrim, and I want to do more research on that. I should have done that before this review. I always do terrible. There's always something that I don't do before my reviews. But anyway, I saw in the credits it said, what's his face? Finn Wolfhard is teen Scott Pilgrim, but I'm like, oh, okay, strange. But anyway, I like this series. It's okay. I know some of you might be yelling at your screens right now. How did you like the series and not love it if you love the movie? I love the movie. It's in the movie's in my top 10 favorite movies of all time. I love Edgar Wright as a director. I love the Cornetto trilogy. I love Baby Driver. I'm not the biggest fan on that one Last Night in Soho film, but I did like Baby Driver quite a bit, actually, more than I thought it would, the way it goes. But Scott Pilgrim is my favorite Edgar Wright movie. And Edgar Wright's a great director. This series has a few things going for it that doesn't really work, some misfires, and I'll explain why. And like I said, I didn't take any notes on this review because I just felt like right out of the gate I binged this all in one day and I had all the thoughts fresh in my head. So I kind of wanted to get this out to you. The main thing I think of, and I literally watched another review, I think it was Austin Burke who did a review on this. Austin Burke, I believe is his name. He said it's missing Scott Pilgrim, and it really is. And it's not an issue with the series because the series is still good, grounded. Like it's still it works on its own merits with many characters and everything going with it around those elements. But besides that, Scott Pilgrim is in literally like I don't know, an hour of screen time within like. This whole thing's like, I don't know, 6 hours, like 30 minutes per episode, and there's 8 episodes, so that's like 6 hours, roughly. And Scott Pilgrim's in like 1 hour. He's like in the first 2 episodes, and then he's in the first episode. Okay, so he's kind of like in an hour into the show. Pretty much. He really is. And I feel like that's a darn shame because I really like Michael Cera's voice. I do like the entire cast here. I like the adaptation that they were going for. And it put a smile on my face, but it didn't put the right smile on my face. You know that time, like, you're at the movies and you, okay, say, I'm not going to make this analogy for Marvel because I still like Marvel, but say there's this time at the movie theater. I guess Star Wars is the best way to describe this, because say you're watching the sequels, right? And you're saying, well, that's not my Star Wars. It's kind of like that, right? It's kind of like that where they take a character, where they take Scott Pilgrim, and this is a spoiler review, so I'm going to spoil it anyway. They take Scott Pilgrim and they kill him off at the end of the first episode. It's essentially, the first episode is basically the exact same plotline as the movie, done in animation style, and which is the whole animation style throughout the whole show, but they do it with the animation style, beat by beat plot point from the movie to where he's fighting Matthew Patel, the first evil X, and then you think he's dead. You think Scott Pilgrim is dead, but there's a twist involved. It's a very neat, again, plotline, story route, but the way it's done, not the way it's done, but the fact that Michael Cera, Scott Pilgrim's not there, but this is Scott Pilgrim, isn't it? So it just feels very jarring, very sudden, very random that he's not there in like half of the show, more than half of the show. Like before, like over 6 episodes, he's not there, or exactly 6. Like, because he's in like the first one and the last one and like bit of the penultimate episode. So it's like, really, what are you doing? Anyway, besides that one nitpick, which I think many people will attribute is a flaw of the show. All of it's not bad. I mean, it's at the end of the day when he's swapped out. I shouldn't say swapped out. Faked his death. Ramona takes the lead basically in our present timeline, or I shouldn't say present timeline, in the hero's side of things, and goes trying to figure out what happened, and then we see Envy Adams, the big Brie Larson's character, the big ex of Scott Pilgrim, and she's there singing a song. We see the evil X's, they're the League, and we see Jason Schwartzman's character, Gideon Graves, who then, I think this is one of my favorite things about this series, though. Jason Schwartzman's character, Gideon Graves, changing his name to Gordon Goose, and hanging out with Chris Evans' character, Lucas Lee, their little bromance, but I had an issue with the whole, because then it was evil, he kind of became evil in the end, but then, this whole series kind of had an issue with, like, the lackluster, with the absence of Scott Pilgrim, which I keep mentioning, but I think it would, like, I feel like in the movie it works better when Gideon is this evil threat to Scott Pilgrim, but when Scott Pilgrim comes back in the end of this series, it's kind of like Gideon, or Goose, Jason Schwartzman's character, just is like, I'm here now, and I gotta be evil, and then it doesn't work out for him. And it's so bizarrely written. Like, I like this series, what it's going for, but it has a story, and by the end, it all makes sense, but I feel like with the characters they use from the movie, they don't really work in here. I don't know, because I'm looking at it and I go, there's some great fight scenes. A very abrupt change in my own review. There's some great fight scenes, like, in particular, there's great scene, they're making a, I have to swallow. There's the character Young Neil, who's part of the band, Steven Stills, and, this is another thing before I talk about that. The girl, Knives Chow, I feel like is the most completely irrelevant character in this thing, because, okay, well, it's not irrelevant, I do admit, because she is critical to the original story, but I feel like at the end she's kind of irrelevant. She's just there in the band. I didn't really like, anyway, I felt like the movie, I just love the movie a lot, so anyway, but the main band, the Sex Bomb, there's a character called Young Neil, and in this series he gets this vision in his nighttime, while he's sleeping. He believes while in his sleep he wrote a screenplay, and the screenplay is what the actual Scott Pilgrim movie is. Like, what happened if Ramona, or if Scott actually beat Matthew Patel and then beat all the 7 deadly X's. So it's quite a neat plotline there. And on the set, Lucas Lee, who is a skateboarder, who is Chris Evans' character, is playing Michael Cera's character, Scott Pilgrim. And then you see Wallace Wells, who is Kieran Culkin, Home Alone actor's brother, who's gay in this, who's playing himself in the program, playing himself in the screenplay. It's very comical. And then there's a whole bunch of fights going on with stunt doubles and all this, similar to what they had in the movie and everything. It's very comical. I got put a smile on my face and everything like that. It's great fight scenes and great animation. But by the end, there's this storyline where Scott Pilgrim comes back from the future. He sees himself, and it's like, all right, sure. And it's like there's this whole twist going on with the twins. It's like there's some future stuff. I like time travel. Don't get me wrong. I liked it, but I was kind of thinking as I'm watching this, going, does this really work for Scott Pilgrim? And I understand it's fictional. It's animation. They can do whatever they want. I get it. The medium is fine. And I know that already in the Scott Pilgrim movie they had vegans and superpowers and like anime fighting styles like superpowers, but because I'm not saying it's not realistic, like you can it's not realistic, but it's just going. I'm just going. What are you doing? I don't know. I liked it. I'm not trying to poo-poo on this, and because I did like at the end that Scott Pilgrim, the older version, came back, was big and buff, and they had a fight scene with him. I think it all worked. I feel like I'm complaining too much as I should, and I really shouldn't be. I do apologize for if I'm seeming like I'm rambling and ranting and not liking it. I did really like it. It's just kind of not what I was expecting, because Scott Pilgrim was out of most of the show, and then like when he's back, it's just like it feels jarring to be like, here's an old episode of Scott Pilgrim, and then like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, it's his show. I completely forgot. So yeah, there's that on that. So basically at this point I'm done ranting. Like, I love the finale. The finale was really good. Like, I do have to say, because then he comes in and is like, oh, there's this problem. There's this significant plot problem that we have. And then it's like, oh no, what are we going to do? We can't do it this way because Ramona and Scott can't kiss because they were in the future. There's this problem where they have to resolve all the evil exes. They can't do this, so they have to do something else, and they have to fight Scott, much older Scott from the future. It's like, or from the past. Was it from the future? From the future. So man, there's a big problem going on. So they have to defeat evil Scott Pilgrim. Or evil older Scott Pilgrim, I guess, is the big buff guy. So very cool stuff. I really like the end. But yeah, in my head I would give this, I'm not gonna, this isn't a secret invasion scenario. I'm gonna give this a 7 out of 10. It's kind of like my sweet spot for the 5. I feel like 5 out of 10 is me hating shit. Me hating stuff. Pardon my French. But this I didn't hate. I didn't hate it. I liked it. It's a 7 out of 10. If I loved it, this would be a 10 out of 10. This would be a 9 or 10 out of 10. But this is the 7. Maybe 7.5, so I'm not as critical as 7, but 7, in between 7 and 7.5 is where my sweet spot is, so that's that. Listen, I don't want to, again, I gotta reiterate, I don't want to sound like a broken record. I don't want to sound like I'm hating on this series at all. It's just not what I thought it was going to be. I had lots of fun. I like the animation style and whatnot. I am going to tell you right now, if you come up to me and said, like, hey, should I watch this series? I'd be like, don't. You know, I binged it all in day one. You're able to binge a series that's like 20 minutes long. I mean, it's like bingeable. It's fine. You can do it. I'm going to not recommend it as a Scott Pilgrim fan. I'm going to go watch the movie. I mean, I guess I liked it as a Scott Pilgrim fan. I'm just wondering after this series how much more Scott Pilgrim content is going to be made. Because I like the series. I just don't know how much people are... I would recommend another Scott Pilgrim movie, but at the end of the day, I'm asking why, because the original was so good, why do anything else? But that's just me. You guys might have a different take. Let me know if you really enjoyed this series in the comments below more than I did. Let me know if they should make another... Can't speak, God damn it. Let me know if they should make another Scott Pilgrim movie in the comments below. And what else... what other ideas you have of this genre or of the franchise. Don't forget to leave a like. If they should do more animation series like this one, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, follow me, and I Boba Fett Jedi Master links down below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow me, and watch stuff. Like, subscribe, follow me. Don't forget to keep calm, play, go, and watch stuff. Peace out, everyone. Bye.